Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. We're back previewing a game. We haven't had this for a little while after the January transfer window. So people have moved on, people have come in. So it's a kind of different Tottenham, but we'll be discussing the game. I've got two great guests. Hopefully Tommy will be on a bit later on as well. I'm not sure if he is. Two great guests. So we've got Chloe, who's a Brighton fan. So we not only get the Spurs perspective here, we also get a Brighton perspective. How are you doing, Chloe? Thanks so much for coming on.
I'm doing great, thanks.
Excellent. And excited for the game?
Yeah, it should be a good game, I think. I haven't been to Spurs' new stadium yet, so that'll be fun, cool, interesting.
Yeah. And Mark, who's been on plenty of times. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me back on.
Oh, no problem. Always welcome. A couple of comments coming in. Mr. K, the legend that is, it's smashing time 4-1 Spurs. I love your optimism. But Brighton are a really good side and don't concede many goals. But I'd take that result all day long. Chloe, I'm assuming, would not.
No.
And
I'll be quite disappointing.
And Fox's focus, afternoon all, big hello to everyone. Spurs beat us in Cruel Star, so naturally I'm going Brighton 2-0.
Let it go.
And so we'll crack on. Mark, we'll start with you with a Spurs question. Will Spurs' new signings start, do you think? Bentancur and I can never remember the name and how to Kulusevski, I think
something like that.
Will they start for you, or will they have to earn their way into a starting lineup?
I think they might start because we need them ready for the Premier League, don't we? We've got a lot of games coming up, so they need to get a bit of fitness. So maybe they don't start, but I definitely think they'll make their debuts in that game. How many minutes they get, I don't know. I would like to see them start, just because I'm going to the game, so I'd like to see their debuts from the start. So I think they will, mate. I think that they will. We've seen it before with Poch that it takes an age for any player to get anywhere near the team, but I think we're a much weaker squad at the minute. And when you think we've only really got two other central midfielders in Winks and Skip, or Højbjerg as well, I suppose. You've got the three, unless I'm missing someone, Harvey White. But we've let Ndombele go, Dele Alli go, Lo Celso go. So we need them up. You need them up to speed, mate.
Yeah. I guess Dyer, if worst
push
case
comes to shove,
push up, and then that pushes Skip and Højbjerg a bit further forward. But then obviously Dyer's as a central defender, so you'd need Romero back for that, and then who else partners him. But
and to be fair, Dyer's been our best centre back this season. So if you're losing him from the defence, if push comes to shove, you could put him there. But I think they'll definitely get minutes, whether they start or not, Chris. I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to see them start. Look, they've been playing in Italy. It's not like it's they've had no pre-season or whatever. They've been playing regularly. Especially Bentancur has been playing pretty much first team football for Juventus. Kulusevski has been coming in off the bench, so they're both match ready. They're both match fit, so I don't see any reason that they can't start. The only reason would be they don't know Conte's style, but I'll definitely put them in personally.
Yeah, I think they'll probably come on, like you say, depending on how the game goes, obviously. Thanks to everybody who's watching and all the comments. Keep them coming in. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. It really helps the channel. I really appreciate it. And Chloe, we talked about our transfers. I know Dan Burn left to go to Newcastle. So what were your thoughts on your transfer window? You got a few ins, which a couple of them were loans, which then were in and then loaned back out to either that club or another club. But what do you make of Brighton's transfer business in January?
Yeah, I think we've done some sort of quite shrewd business, really. We haven't actually got anyone in for now, but I think we're really sort of planning for like the next season. And I think we've sort of got enough to do what we want this season already. So it's just a case of planning for the future, really.
Yeah, would you have preferred a striker to come in? Because I see Brighton as playing really good football, and if you had maybe not Harry Kane, but like Danny Ings or someone who puts the ball in the net, you'd be right in this conversation of European football. I go back to a game, I think it was last season, where you lost 3-2 to Manchester United and you have many chances and they had a couple. Would you have preferred a striker to come in to finish those chances, or are you fairly happy with the strikers that you've got at the moment?
I do think we need another striker. Obviously, we signed Undav. I think it's I don't know how I'm probably saying that wrong, but obviously we loaned him back out. I don't necessarily think our goal scoring problems are our strikers. Mope's actually got 8 goals this season in the league and the cup. And I think it's very easy to say the reason we aren't scoring goals is because we don't have a clinical striker. And actually last season I would probably agree Mope wasn't clinical enough, but this season has been more clinical, has been taking his chances more and scored some really good goals as well. I think we probably need a bit more from midfield. Moda for some reason seems to like scoring in the cup, but not so much in the league. So hopefully he can get a goal against you guys. So I think it's more a team issue of not being clinical enough as a team than there's one sort of position that we are lacking in. Because I do think as well Mope plays better with another striker. And like you saw against Leicester, it was him that actually put the cross in for Welbeck. So hopefully if those two can play and link up, and that's sort of like I think that's quite a deadly pairing, really. It's just obviously Welbeck isn't reliable fitness wise, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame because if he could get fit, he's a quality striker and he scored some ridiculous goals as well. Yeah, I do like Trossard. He's one for this game coming up. He's one that worries me. He's like, well, do you think the whole midfield issue that you were talking about there will be addressed in the summer? That'll be the main focus of the summer.
I think we're sort of in the sort of process of fixing that because we've got Alexis McAllister who can score goals, has proven that he can score goals, and he takes really good set pieces as well. And he's just sort of starting to be integrated into like the first team. And obviously we've got Enoch Mwepu, who's been out injured. Don't think he's fully back yet, but he can score goals as well in the midfield. So I think it's something that we are sort of addressing. It's just we're not quite there yet.
And in terms of leaving us, Mark, we've obviously got the players who have left us, but also this guy, Steve Hitchen, which a lot of fans were happy with. There's talk that he negotiated deals for the Fernandezes, Grealish, Dybalas, and then it was all quashed by Levy and Spurs. I saw a report that Conte's got a really good relationship with him, so I was a bit not upset but disappointed. But it's a very strange thing because since that documentary came out where he made that comment, I hate January transfer window, it's so stressful, which is his job. Fans have been wanting him out, didn't get him out, and then all of a sudden he's out. And we mentioned on here when you were on last that the January transfer window with the players certainly had Conte's fingerprints all over it. I want that player out, get him out, and then they've gone. So, I mean, are you pleased Steve Hitchen's gone? Who obviously Paratici's going to replace him as the director of football, but are you pleased he's gone, and are you surprised?
I'm not one of the fans that absolutely hate on him, to be honest with you. I don't really care that he's gone, and I'm not singing from the rooftops that he's gone. I think he had a difficult job because, as we know, he's not dining at the top table when it comes to transfers. So if it was true he was trying to do them, the Fernandez, Dybala deals, that, again, that's Levy's fingerprints all over it to kibosh the deals. So I think he had a very difficult job. And when you listen to people who are in the game and know him, say, yeah, actually, he's well liked there. He does a decent job. So I can understand why fans hated him. But I think the narrative of, I hate the January transfer window. I mean, the managers would tell you that. Paratici would tell you that. Steve Hitchen told you that, and everyone just jumps on that as a meme to say, oh, he hates his job and all this kind of. He was just saying it's a very difficult window to get things done. And as I say, Paratici done an interview yesterday, said something similar, that it's a window of opportunities. That's what he was trying to convey. Look, it's not an easy window. You've got 4 weeks to get everything done. And actually, that's true. But everyone just jumped on that one little thing where it says, I hate the January transfer window, and bang, he hates his job. And I feel a bit sorry for him, really, if I'm being truly honest. So he's going to Everton, apparently. Good luck to the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably one of the ones that you've mentioned there that jumped on the bandwagon. That's your job. That's your job. But yeah.
I can understand why people said it, but there was more to it. It wasn't just that he was saying,
they're cleverly edited, probably as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Of Delhi laughing when Jose said he was a terrible trainer, and then laughing, he could have been laughing at a joke someone had made 2 minutes earlier, and they've edited it cleverly too.
And also, that could be a nervous laugh. It doesn't mean that he found it funny. When you're getting, I've probably been bollocked by my manager before, and I've had a bit of a nervous laugh or try to put a smile on. Do you know what I mean? That could be a natural thing to do. So,
I mean. In terms of Everton, Delhi's come out. I mean, we're not living on the past. He's obviously not our player anymore. It's sad to see him go, not in the sense that, I wanted him to stay, but, he was absolutely superb for us for a number of seasons and then had the world at his feet there, and it's suddenly just fallen apart for whatever reason, a number of reasons. He's come out and said him and Lampard, perfect fit. Perfect match. Do you see him kickstart his career at Everton? I personally think he needs the right system to be able to play, and that system is he gets a lot of space to be able to run into the box. Him with the ball at his feet, not good enough of a passer for me. But do you see Everton as the perfect match for him, as he says, or is that just something to try and
I think
get him supported by the fans there straight off?
I think Lampard's a good manager for him. Whether Everton is the right fit, I'm not a tactical genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I don't know what style that they play, whether he'll fit in. But I agree with you. He needs to be as far up the pitch next to the striker as possible, ghosting into the box. I remember Ali. I remember sitting with mates at games and them slagging off Ali. And I said, well, yeah, but he always comes up with a goal. And he always used to do that. And I think he must still have. It's just clever running, isn't it? He still must have that in him. I think if you play him consistently, his form may well come back. The problem with us was we never really played him consistently in his genuine position, which I agree with you. It's probably just off the striker. I don't think he's a natural number 10, really. I don't know. I don't think he'll ever get back to the peak, Dele Alli, to be honest with you. I still think he can contribute and be a good player, and I hope that he does, to be honest with you. I hope, obviously not at the detriment of Tottenham, but I want the kids to have a good career, He's local to where I live, so he's a boy from the place where I live now. So I want to see him do well. And he's done well for Tottenham. If you think like that Champions League run, we wouldn't have got to that final without Dele Alli putting that ball through for Lucas Moura. So he's done some great things for the club.
Yeah. And I personally think he's just more focused. It seems to me, whether it's true or not, that football isn't. I mean, Gareth Bale had that flag, didn't he, with goal for Real Madrid in that order. I think it's similar to Ali, where football isn't near the top. But for England, it'd be good to get him back to his best. But as long
as I've known you, we've been saying, look, we like Ali, but we feel that it's time for him to move on. And what's that? About 2 years now? We've been saying that.
Yeah. But yeah, he's obviously got a new manager now. But one manager who I'm really impressed with, and when we were looking for our new manager, which turned out to be Nuno, I was wanting this manager, but we didn't get him. Apparently, he turned us down. Graham Potter and Chloe. How do you rate Graham Potter? I think he's a superb manager, and I think he could go anywhere. I mean, if you could score more goals, whether that's a striker's issue or the midfield issue, if you could score more goals, you would be right bang in that conversation of possibly even top four. I would imagine that the consensus among neutrals is that Brighton are going to be a lower half team, but you're comfortably in the top half, and a lot of that is down to him. You've got a style of playing, a way of playing, and like you said, with the transfers, shrewd business. I think that a lot of that's down to him. But what do you make of Graham Potter? And Do you think he's with you for the long haul, or do you think someone will come in and try and take him off your hands at some point?
I mean, I want to say that he is with us for the long haul, and I do think that he is building something at Brighton, and I think we're starting to really sort of see it come good really. Like we're in the top half. That's for Brighton. That is like we're on course for what our highest ever finish in the top division. If we can pull that off, amazing. If we can somehow scrape into European conference or something, that would be a dream. I really think he is a good manager. It's weird because sometimes he'll make a substitution or something, and you'll be like, that's a bit weird. But then they'll get a goal or an assist, and you're like, he's just he's completely revolutionized the way we play. I mean, I know there was quite a few eyebrows raised when we actually did get rid of Chris Hughton, but as much as I adore Hughton, I think it was the right time for him to go really. I think he'd gotten us as far as he could, and with Potter he's taken us to the next level really. And it's just been amazing to see. And it's just so many different things. Obviously, we play a lot more attacking now, and we can give anyone a game, which we didn't really do before. Sort of going toe to toe with Chelsea and Liverpool and stuff like that. It's so strange as a Brighton fan because I remember growing up and being thrashed by these teams in the cup, and now it's we can take them on, and also I think he brings in a lot of sort of younger players. We've got quite a young team. I think it goes quite under the radar actually. We obviously have a few sort of experienced older players, but a lot of our squad is actually quite young, and I think we're quite good at sort of developing young players and bringing them into our team. And I just think it's a really exciting time to be a Brighton fan, really, because it feels like it's just all sort of coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think many neutrals as well, not this weekend, obviously, but I think many neutrals like the way Brighton play, like you say, attacking. And Chris Hughton, I like Chris Hughton, obviously the Spurs connection, but for me, he's more of a Championship manager. Whereas I keep calling him Brian Potter. I love Phoenix Knight. But Graham Potter is quite clearly at home as a Premiership manager, and that's showing with what you're doing now and what you did last season. Do you think there's any danger, certainly in the summer? Basuma's obviously the big one that was rumoured. He was rumoured with us and a few other teams as well. So if you finish in the top half, get into the Conference League or higher, do you think you'll struggle to hold on to players like a Basuma, or do you think if there is a project that's going there, as long as Graham Potter stays, the players will be wanting to stay as well?
I think it really sort of depends who actually sort of comes in for these players. Obviously, if sort of a top six team who got on Champions League or whatever came in for someone like Basuma, I would not blame him if he left. I obviously hope that we can hold on to these players, but if we can get a decent amount of money for them, I'm not going to be too disappointed, because I think the way that Brighton is run, we have sort of when we lose a player, we can replace them. It's not like we lose a player and we just lose ourselves. It's we sort of have backup. Like when we sold Ben White, we already had replacements. We didn't buy anyone to replace them, because we already had the players in our squad to sort of fill that gap and do it to a decent level. And I don't think we actually miss him. And obviously we're doing better this season than we were last season. So yeah, we can move forward and sort of sell players occasionally, and then obviously reinvest that money into our squad, and I think we're good at developing players and then selling them on for a profit as well. Like you saw with Dan Burn, like I can't remember how much we paid him now, but it was like 3 million, I think, and to sell him for that much more, it's just really good. And I think even if we do lose these players, which obviously I don't want to, it won't kill us. And I think a lot of people see Brighton and see good players we have and think they're just going to get nicked. But I think we don't sell players if we don't have to. Like there was rumours of people sniffing around Lewis Dunk for years, and we never sold him. And I don't know if he wanted to go, but I don't think we will sell unless the sort of offer is right. We won't just offload players. We're not like a selling club, so to speak.
I don't think there's any such thing really in the Premier League anymore with the amount of that teams get for the TV revenue. Long gone are the days where a top six club would come in for a team in the bottom half and say we want that player, and then they have to take any offer because they don't have that much money. Now you end up getting tens and tens and tens of millions just with TV revenue and the fact that you're in the Premier League and you get money through that. So that there isn't any such thing as a selling club anymore. But you said that he's revolutionised the way you play, and in a fairly short spell of time as well. But which players do you think have benefited from that the most? Because we've obviously got Conte now, and players like Ben Davies and Harry Winks, as soon as Conte came, were pretty much they're at the door, and they seem to have had a new lease of life. Has to be by the way that Conte's coached them or seen how they play, and that now they've been transformed almost. And now they're important players in the squad, and Ben Davies in the team as well. But since Graham Potter turned up and started managing you, who do you think has benefited in your team most from him and the change in the way that you play?
One player I definitely have noticed has improved under Potter would be Solly March. Doesn't start for us so much now we have Cucurella, but he was playing at left wing back, and it's sort of, I think he hadn't played there before really. He was more a sort of winger, and he still plays like in that more attacking role, but he was sort of the sort of player that you're thinking his time at Brighton is sort of coming to an end because he's just not really performing to the level that we need. But under Potter he improved so much and sort of become a really important member of our squad, especially last season. He probably could have been like one of our players of the season. It's just, I'm trying to think of others, but my head has just gone absolutely blank. But that's definitely one example.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably countless others. There's too many to even think of. I would have thought, whereas we've had a couple. But in terms of us, Mark, in terms of the game, like Chloe's mentioned, Brighton play a much more attacking game. How do you see the game panning out? Certainly, the first 20 minutes we'll talk about. Do you think we're obviously at home? So do you think we'll try and take it to Brighton? Or we'll try and play on the counter-attack? It's obviously difficult to tell, being that you don't know the teams that are going to be out there. But yeah, in terms of kind of mindset of Conte, how do you think we'll approach the game? And then we'll come to Chloe and see how she thinks Brighton will approach the game.
As I've already said, I'm no tactical genius. So you're probably asking the wrong person. But I would say that I think we're probably just counter. I would say I can't see us going. They're a very good side, Brighton. As Chloe's already said, they've gone toe to toe with Liverpool and Chelsea. They always give us a difficult game, actually, under Potter. So I can't see us going all out attack. To be honest with you, I can't see us doing that. But maybe I'll be wrong. But I think we'll have a solid base and play on the counter. I just see an interesting tweet there, Chris, that apparently Conte has come out in his press conference and said Kulilevsky can play as a right wing back, which I found quite interesting. I can't see that one myself. Apparently he's come out and said he can play a 9, a 10 or a right wing back. So whether we're going to see him play that role on Saturday, who knows? But Yeah, I don't know. I would assume we're going to play a free. I don't know. What do you think? 3-5-2.
Well, three at the back. I guess the two up top or one up top will depend on what's happened to Son. As far as I know, he's still injured. I have no idea what
He's back in training. He's back in training now.
So if he's back in training, I'd suggest that he'll be on the bench when it starts. And then seeing how the game goes, he'll come on anyway. It'll either be close and we need a goal and he'll come on, or the game will be over. And then
I think he'll definitely get minutes. And I think just from the stuff that I read and that, apparently Romero wanted to play against Chelsea and they held it. So he was ready to play against Chelsea. They held him back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts as well, to tell you the truth. Because again, like I said about Bentaker and that, I think we need to get these players back out on the field and match fit and ready. So I don't know in terms of how we'll play on the day. But I expect to have a strong lineup, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you said earlier you're going to the game. Do you want us to go out like a bull in a china shop first off, or see if the first 10 minutes, let's see what Brighton are going to do here, and then
I don't really, because I do respect Brighton as a team, and I think they're a very good footballing side. And I think if we go out like a bull in a china shop, we'll be exposed at the back. I just don't think we're good enough yet to play that way. So I'd prefer us to be a little bit cautious, like you say, for 10-20 minutes to get a feel into the game. And we've not played for over a week now. So I don't expect us to go out like a bull in the china shop, put it that way. I can't see that. No. I want to see it because I want to see exciting attacking football, especially when I'm in the stadium, but I just don't see that.
No,
it's a night game, isn't it? Under the lights, you never know.
Yeah, it's an 8 o'clock game, isn't it? It's a late one. I think it's on telly. A couple of comments from Carl Simpson. It'll be close. I think Spurs will take it 2-1. I think all Spurs fans will take that because, like we say, Brighton are a very good team. Mr. K, love that white shirt. Thank you very much. Can't go wrong with Primark. But Chloe, in terms of the game, how do you think Brighton will kind of line up and approach the game? Obviously, they're the away team, which on paper, the away team are at a disadvantage. Do you think because you're very good at keeping the ball, which for us this season, since Eriksen and Dembele left, is something that we haven't been able to do, keep the ball in the middle of midfield. So do you think you'll play like that and you'll have the lion's share possession and then we'll play counter-attack? Or do you think you'll play counter-attack because we'll go attacking?
Yeah, I mean, you say you have the advantage as we're the away team. We've actually only lost, I think, one game away from home this season. And we lost to Leicester on penalties. And
I think I'm right in saying something like, apart from City and Liverpool, you're the next team who have lost the least.
Yeah, we're very hard to beat. I'll put it that way. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a draw again and we went to extra time and penalties. As for how we'll set up, I really cannot say. Potter is quite hard. I think he's quite hard to not think of the word.
Predict.
Yes, that's the word. It's quite hard to predict how he's actually going to set up because it could be a 5 at the back, could be a 4 at the back. I think it depends as well if sort of Dunk and Duffy, if they're like match fit. I know they're both fit, but if they're actually ready to start a game or if they're going to be on the bench. So yeah, I think it's difficult to predict. If you do counter attack, I think that is sort of the way to hurt Brighton. I think a lot of goals we concede are when teams sort of attack us quickly. We're not too good at handling that, and we're also not very good the other way, breaking ourselves. We're not very good at breaking. So yeah, I mean, I can see it being a very even game. I think it will be an even game. I think it's quite an evenly matched.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be more than 2 goals in it. Maybe not even more than 1 goal, unless someone is winning towards the end of the game and then a counter attack happens, and then someone wins 3-1 or something like that. But I can see both teams scoring. I can see it being a draw, or I can see it being 2-1 to either team. But yeah, I mean, Mark. What's more important for us? I say us, Conte. Us fans obviously want to win a trophy, so the FA Cup will be a brilliant trophy. We ain't going to win the league, and the FA Cup and league are all the competitions we're in now. But obviously, Mr. Levy, it's all money with him, so therefore that suggests Champions League. So I'd suggest if Champions League is the more important and the league is the more important, then you might see the Romeros, the Sons, and the new starters, just to get them up to match speed. Even Romero and Son, and then the two new starters as well, because they haven't played, certainly for us, for however long. If the FA Cup is a priority, I can see them being on the bench and then maybe coming on depending on how the game is going and if we need a goal, or if we need to shore things up. But for Conte, what do you think is his focus this season now?
I honestly think it's probably top four, because, like you've said, that's probably his remit when he's come in. I don't think top four would have been the remit, because I think we were so far off it at the time. I don't know how many points we were off it, but that just seemed like a dream to get top four at that time. Now it could really happen if we push on. It's in our hands to do it at the end of the day, and I think like players want to be in the Champions League. I think the top managers do as well. Because he's got a reputation, this guy, that he wants to be pitting his wits against the best managers as well. So whilst yes, I believe he's a winner and wants to win every game, regardless of whether it's the FA Cup, the League Cup, the fucking Audi Cup, whatever. I believe that his priority definitely would be top four. And yes, let's be honest about it, I bet he's on a hefty bonus if he gets Tottenham back in the top four as well. So. And probably not very much, because I don't think Levy's that bothered about the cups, to be quite frank.
No, which is a shame. But yeah, like you say, Conte wants to win everything. In public, he'll be saying, I want to win everything. There's no priority. I want to win everything. But in private, I'd suggest probably, because, like you say, the remit coming from Levy is the league and the top four. But Chloe, in terms of Brighton, I mean, like us, you're not going to win the league, but there's a very realistic chance that for you, with a couple of good results in the league, you push yourself up and then you're right back in the European kind of hunt. Is that the main focus for you, or was the focus at the start of the season just staying in the league and trying to improve on last season and then win a cup? And so therefore, is this FA Cup a real chance for you to win something, and that would be your focus? What do you think Potter's thinking is of the priorities for you?
I do think before the season, we weren't really expecting to be doing as well as we are now, and obviously relegation is sort of not really a worry for us. So I do think it's a good chance to put out a strong side and try and get a result. And I would love another cup run. Cup runs are just amazing. If we could win it, that would be like the first major trophy we've won. So that would be absolutely extraordinary. I would kill to see that. I do think we're sort of taking it fairly seriously. I think we put out a fairly strong side against West Brom. And I think we will put out a quite strong side against Spurs. And obviously we've had like a week off because of the weird break thing. So there's no reason we can't put out sort of fairly full strength side.
Yeah. And Mark, who will Conte, do you think, be singling out as they're the danger man for Brighton, or danger men, in your opinion? Trossard, for me, kind of, I don't watch Brighton a huge amount. Chloe will be able to tell me far better if this is accurate or not. But for me, Trossard is the one who seems to dictate Brighton's play in an attacking sense, whereas Suma is more of a keep the ball in the middle. Yeah, Trossard for me, and he gets into goal scoring positions a lot as well.
Yeah, so I like him.
The danger man, and then obviously Morpay if there's a chance to be taken, he's not going to be shy on taking a shot off. But who will Conte be singling out to our team as they're the danger man, stop them playing, do you think?
I think you've already mentioned him, to be honest. But I think the other one, who we all like as well, is Tariq Lamptey as well. He's back now. He went. Who was it you played just before the break, and he went on an amazing run? Was it Chelsea? I can't remember. He just got the ball from his own half and just bombed. He's so quick and direct as well. He went through the middle. He's an excellent little player. So he'll be another one we've got to keep an eye on because, you know, he attack. You know, we said about them counter attacking. They're not great, but I think now they've got Lamptey back, then he can definitely. He's so quick that he can progress the ball up the pitch really quickly. So he's one to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, like you say, Trossard, it goes through him really on their attacks. I like Mope as well. I think Mope is a really good player. So they've got a few danger men. They just play. They remind me. I think I said to you before. My whole family, apart from me, are all Charlton fans, and it reminds me of when Charlton were in the Premier League and they had Kirbishley. That's the kind of team they are. There's just something about them, and I would fear for them if Potter was to leave. Because I think he's when he come in, I remember it when Hughton got the set. I was like, oh, they're idiots. What are they doing? What are they doing there? Who is this guy that's coming in? I had heard of him because I know he played against Arsenal. I thought they're definitely going to be going down now, and I've been so impressed with everything that he's done there. I have to say, like you mentioned, like I wanted him when we were linked with Conte. I wanted Conte in the summer. After that, my next guy over the Ajax manager, I really wanted Potter. I thought that was the perfect guy for us. But I don't blame him for we're a mess really, or certainly were in the summer. So I don't blame him for saying no, he'd rather stay at Brighton. But yeah, I'd say the players that you've mentioned are the ones that we really need to watch out for. The ones that I know anyway. Like you say, I don't watch Brighton every week, but from when I have seen them play, they're the three really: Lamptey, Trossard, and Mope.
Yeah, I can't believe when I was saying about will Brighton lose some of their top players, and I forgot about Tariq Lamptey. He's been with us for about 3 years. But yeah, I completely forgot about him. So yeah, if he gets on a run and he can cause us problems. But Chloe, in terms of Spurs and Potter, who will he be marking out and singling out as the danger men for Spurs? Obviously, Harry Kane, and if he plays Son, are two obvious ones. I mean, Kane's had his critics this season, and in the summer, you know, the whole move and everything like that, and everything that happened with that. But like Morpay, he's not going to be shy about having a swing and having a shot if the chance arises. And for me, I think as soon as Kane gets his shooting boots back on again, he'll go on a run of and then getting his 20 goals. But yeah, who will Potter be singling out? We've got to stop them playing for you, apart from the obvious ones.
Apart from the obvious,
I mean, that's possibly a difficult question because apart from Son and Kane, we don't have anyone. So
I was going to say, I'll be struggling. Lucas, maybe.
I say, don't say Son and Kane.
Yeah, yeah, Moore is it?
Yeah.
He's definitely someone I think I really rate as a player. And I think, yeah, he's probably one of your more dangerous attacking options. Obviously, when you're saying Son might be back, it's like, oh gosh, does he have to be? Like I rate him as well. Obviously, I don't think he's been as sort of solid this season as last season. Last season, him and Kane was just a sort of unbeatable sort of duo, really. And I think Kane, I slag him off so much this season. He is bound to score against us just because that seems to be how it works. If you criticise a player, they end up scoring against you. So, but we'll see. Hopefully we've got enough in our defence that we can deal with that. I think we're quite strong defensively. And obviously, yeah, I think we're quite solid, and hopefully Basuma, obviously he's been at AFCON, hopefully he can start, because I think he is very crucial. I think we miss him when he's not playing, because he just sort of knits our defence together a lot more, I think. So, yeah, I'm not too worried. I don't think it's going to be like an annihilation. I just, there's a few players there that obviously it's a bit like, oh.
Yeah, it could end up being a really tactical battle in both teams try not to be too open to let the danger players on each side run the game. So it could end up being a fairly boring game, but then it could end up being an early goal, completely opens the game up. But Son and Kane, I think, have been poor this season, Mark. I've said it time and time and time again. When you've got I don't have a problem with defensive play. You've just got to make sure you have an out ball and an attacking threat, which under Jose we did, because he was under the, I think quite rightly, impression that, Son and Kane are our goal getters, so we can be defensive. We've got to get them in the game, whereas Nuno didn't seem to know that they were playing. They hardly got a sniff. And then that's, I don't know how far into the season, a third of the season, quarter of the season maybe. Conte seems to be a lot more pragmatic with getting them in the game. Obviously, he's had Son injured for a little bit longer, and then he needs to get the players in. Hopefully, we've got the players in now. But do you expect Kane and Son, when he's back, to start firing again? I think it's Kulusevski, or whatever his name is. I think I've pronounced that right. Can play as a striker. So if he can play as a striker, you might then see Son and him as the strikers, Kane coming a bit deep and then spraying the balls left, right, like he was doing, assisting last season. But do you think Kane and Son will eventually this season, I'm not going to say come good, because get back to
I do, yeah. I do think that. And I think Kane you've been seeing them signs for Kane, that he's coming back to some decent form. Scored against Leicester, didn't he? He did score against Chelsea, but obviously that was ruled out by the mug of a referee. He definitely looks to be coming. He in that game against Chelsea, I thought he actually, although he didn't score, he actually looked very good. The work rate and him, he was battling. And yeah, Son hasn't been Son of old, of last season. But I genuinely believe that they will come back to Son. I've always thought that, like you said, I think once Kane gets going, he will get on a run of games. I think that his head wasn't in it. Not that he wasn't trying, that some fans were saying at the start of the season. I never believed that he wasn't trying. I just generally believed that that move to City had got into his head. I don't think he's the type of player that craves the limelight. And the spotlight was very much shone upon him the whole of the summer. I don't necessarily think he thrives on that. So I hope now he's put that behind him and he's got a world-class manager in Conte in, who's had a word with him and said, look, you're going to be the main man. And he believes in this new project like I do. But again, if he does want to go in the summer, I had no problem with him going this summer, as long as the right offer come in. So if he does want to leave and we get the right offer, I don't want any players there that don't want to be at the club, to be honest with you. And if you don't want to be at the club, go.
But I think it's quite telling with Kane that the Ballon d'Or nominations, they had a coach of the year or whatever, and he voted number one, Conte. I think he like
put an apple on his desk as well.
like with Jose, he was a massive fan of Jose. I think the sacking of him just before the cup final was not devastating to Kane, but he was quite upset about it. And I think if we get top four, I don't think there's and Conte's and obviously stays, the expectation will be we'll have a good summer in terms of transfers coming in. Maybe not good as in the players that come in, but there'll be some movement. I don't think there's any chance he leaves in. I don't think there's any chance. But yeah, a couple of comments. THFC Kirst, how you doing? Great job last night, Chris. And absolutely to you as well. A phenomenal job that you did last night. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, Tottenham on Tour, the two Bryans did a mental health show special yesterday. So it was people coming on, talk about their struggles and addictions and all sorts of that and their stories. Really important stream. I highly encourage you to watch that. They've got a GoFundMe page as well. Two charities there that they're trying to support. So there's a GoFundMe page. Every single penny of that gets split up in two and goes to each of those charities. On 700 Canadian dollars at the moment. They're trying to get up to 1,000, so please help them with that. I'll put the link for the GoFundMe page and their stream in the description. But yeah, myself and Kirst were on there along with a few others, and brilliant job you did, Kirst. I've skipped something there. Mr. K says hello, and again, the encouragement that he showed to Kirst and to everyone in the live chats was superb. And then a question from Mr. K for you, Chloe. Is that a record collection behind you?
Yeah, it's mostly my dad's. I have one of the little squares, that's mine. But yeah, it's mostly my dad's records.
Oh right, okay. And what kind of records are they? Rock records or
he likes hip hop. But I think he likes a bit of everything as well. So yeah, mine are all like country, so very different tastes in music.
Fairly eclectic family there. Yeah. And from Kirst as well regarding Kane. Forget top four. I believe Kane will stay / want to stay. I absolutely agree with that. I think he's always said, hasn't he, as long as Spurs are progressing and showing ambition, I don't want to go anywhere. Obviously, he wants to win trophies. But from where we were last season, if we get fourth, that's progression. And now we've got an elite manager in charge as well. And I said when he took over, Mark, Conte, there'll be transfers in the summer, in the winter, in January. It won't be, a whole new squad comes in and a whole squad goes out, but there'll be one or two. I thought one. There were obviously two. We had 4 players that go out, 3 that could come back, because they were on loan. So it's possible that we've got one more than we've let go, but at this moment in time, it's 2 in, 4 out. But it's definitely changing up the team, different positions, and you'd think as well a different way of playing. And Conte knows the way he wants to play, and I think that the summer we'll see a lot of transfer business. There'll be outs, there'll be ins. I can see us being in for Basuma Lamptey again. Certainly, if the right wing back situation isn't sorted out as Conte likes, but I think there'll be a lot of business. And if we can get that fourth and in the Champions League, then it can attract the bigger players that you want. So I think there'll be a lot. And then you get fourth, and you've got Conte. You've got a fairly big pulling power there. And if Kane then comes out publicly, says we're fourth, we've got Conte, I want to stay. You've then got one of the best strikers in the world as well. So. Yeah, I've rambled there. I have no idea what my question is. This happens a lot. But yeah, I mean, do you think this is a huge, how long to the end of the season? 3 months? A huge 3 months for Tottenham now in terms of this could define how we go further on. If we don't get fourth, Kane could want to leave again. Conte could get frustrated. You don't get the pulling power in that you potentially want for those players. Whereas if you get fourth, you've got a lot of cards at your disposal there. So do you think this is a huge, huge 3 months for Tottenham?
Yes. It's massive, mate.
One word answer to a 700-word question.
It's massive, mate. It really is. Which is why, really, I'd have liked to have seen. I'm happy with the transfer window and the business we've done. I'm glad that we've got rid of the players that we did get rid of as well. I'd have liked to have seen at least another one. I think I'd like to have seen a right wing back come in. Although saying that, my number one priority in January was a backup striker. So we definitely need more, mate. But I'm happy with what we've done. And also another thing that I thought about yesterday was, I know people are moaning about Paratici going back to Juventus and all, but you know what? When I think about it, when you're getting supposedly bad characters out of the team, you want to bring good characters into the team. And Paratici knows them players. He knows their personality. He's worked alongside them. He's brought them into the club before. He knows them. He knows how they integrate into a team. So I think actually he's doing the perfect thing. It's the same with Romero. He knows Romero well. He's bringing in players into a squad that he knows. He knows that, but not just how they play, but everything about them, how they integrate, how they get on with their teammates. It's very sensible signings, I think. So yes, it's a massive 3 months or however long it is. It's, it's not going to make or break us, but it's definitely going to dictate where we go next season. Because as you've already said, if you're in the Champions League, you've got a world-class manager, you've got great training facilities, you've got a fantastic state, you've got everything you need that a player wants. You're in a fantastic city. There's everything there to attract players if we're willing to pay the money and Levy's willing to pay the wages. That's the big if, I suppose. If we do that, then there's no reason why not, mate. There's no reason why we can't push on and crack back into that top four. It's difficult. Look at Man United. It's all well and good having these great players. It's not easy to sustain staying in the top four. One great team and one great squad has to drop out every single season. There's only 4 teams who can make it.
Yeah, and we've obviously got games in hand. So this top 4 race is all in our hands at this moment in time because we've got the games in hand. Win those, we're in top four. Well, if we win all of our games in hand, we're in third because we overtake Chelsea by a point. But do you think that benefits us, or would you rather have the points on the board and being fourth with teams below you having a few games in hand, or do you think it doesn't really make that much difference? There's so much left at the end of the season. It can completely all change anyway because there's only 20 odd games been played.
It's difficult to say, mate, because I have been taking some pleasure in watching Arsenal YouTube channels the past few days, just because I want to see them moaning about their transfer window. And they were saying, like, one of them was saying, like, we were saying that it's all about having points on the board before, and now we're not doing so well. We're saying, well, we got the games in hand. So I think, I don't know, mate. I don't know whether it's better to be there and teams behind you have the games in hand. I suppose the pressure's on us more because we know, and this is where we go wrong sometimes, when we know it's in our hands. Tottenham always seem to go wrong. I'm hoping with Conte, we have a change in mentality because we're building we've got rid of some of them, what was it, like 4 players left from that Champions League run?
Yeah, under
He's gone. Lucas, Kane, Son, and Lloris. I think they're the only ones that are left. I suppose Winks as well. But there's not many left. So you're hoping that there's going to be a whole change of mentality. And I do think the Spursy thing under Poch wasn't there as well. Okay, we was never, like, the coming third in a 2-horse race for me is ridiculous. We was never top of the table once that whole season. Not once were we top of the table. Arsenal were at Christmas, by the way, when they come second. So that's a myth. And so other years, the pressure may have got to us. It might do again. So I can't answer the question, mate. I don't know the answer, whether you're better to have the points on the board or the games in hand. I don't know. I really don't know.
In terms of Brighton, Chloe, you have got the points on the board because we've played 20 games, you've played 22. There's a couple of teams that have played 23, but in the main, you're ahead of most other teams. So, yeah, I mean, would you prefer that, having the games and the points in hand, or would you rather have the chance to be catching up and overtaking those teams with the games in hand?
I mean, I think it's always better to actually have the points on the board. I think otherwise you might sort of almost be fooling yourself as to how high you can go, because there's no guarantee you're actually going to get anything from those games. So yeah, I prefer points on the board every time. It is a little bit worrying when you look sort of like below you in the table and you think they've actually got 2 games in hand, but there's no guarantee that they're going to win them. And, we all play the same amount of games in the season in the end. So I think it sort of evens out anyway.
It's a crazy league, isn't it? When you look at Burnley and see how many games they've got in hand at that bottom of the table, you're just like, what is going on? I understand the reasons why, but we've never seen it before, so it's really difficult to answer. I think for some teams it will work and they will win their games, and in others, with that added pressure, like, it's very difficult for Burnley. They're in a relegation battle. That's massive.
They've lost one of their key strikers, and they need their new striker, Walker.
Weghorst, yeah.
To hit the ground running.
Be interesting, because potentially I think he could be better than Wood, to be honest with you. But again, you don't know with certain players coming to certain leagues whether it's going to work or not. He seems to be a Premier League type striker for me. I think he'll do really well, but it's whether he can get off and running, mate, straight away, really, isn't it?
With players not necessarily knowing if they're going to fit in, that kind of comes back to the point that I forgot to make earlier with you talk about the players that we've got from Juventus. I think it is clever as well that he's bought 2, because if one of them doesn't settle in, they've got a buddy there to kind of help them. They've obviously got Nervo there who must speak Italian and has played in the Premier League. Yeah, and Uruguayan is Bentancur's nationality, so I have no idea what language they speak, but you right, okay. So you'd expect possibly Morva might be able to help with that as well. Obviously,
they speak Portuguese.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah. My point's gone completely out.
Romero will be able to. Romero will
You're
be
destroying the host, Mark. You're
able to.
destroying
Sorry,
the
mate.
host. But yeah, Chloe, before we kind of wrap up and predictions for the game, in terms of Brighton, the season obviously started. You had your aims for the season there. Now you're in ninth, and you know the crazy season that it is with no team, hardly any teams on level pegging in terms of games played. And there's a lot of games to be played. Have your expectations changed now? Are you? I want Europe. I want Conference League, or is it I just want to finish as high as possible now, or I want to finish in the top half?
I mean, before the season started, my sort of expectations were just an improvement on last season, really, nothing more than that. And I think since obviously we are ninth at the moment, I think top 10 is sort of realistically what I want. Obviously, getting European Conference would be unbelievable. That would be sort of like beyond my expectations, really. And also a cup run would be great. So yeah, I'm just really sort of enjoying it at the moment, to be honest, without trying to expect too much. I just hope we continue doing well, and I can't see any reason why we won't.
Yeah, I think now you've kept Lamptey, you've kept Bazuma, you've got Potter. I think you're a top team, I think. So, I mean, I don't want to tempt fate for you, but I think you'll finish top 10 fairly easily, I think. So if you do finish 9th, 10th, what would be the aim next season? Consolidate that top half finish, or improve and get into the Conference League or Europa League, or possibly even higher? What would be your expectations? You laugh about even higher there, but you've lost the 3 least games in the league compared to the 2 who are by far and away the best in the league.
That's amazing. I think we need to start turning some of the draws into wins. That's sort of the aim. As for next season, just an improvement. That's all I really want. It doesn't necessarily have to be like 5 places higher or whatever. It's just noticeable that we're actually making progress. And I think at the moment that's like so evident, and I don't see any reason why that can't continue into next season. And hopefully in the summer we can, strengthen. Obviously we've got the striker that we just bought out on loan at USG, so hopefully we can bring him back and sort of just move forward. That's what I want. I want to move forward.
I think with those 2 players that we mentioned, a few more in the summer, the striker coming back from loan that you mentioned, and Potter, I don't think there's any reason why Brighton can't be improving every season. Certainly for the foreseeable future anyway. I think, like we've already said, he's revolutionised the way you play and got a really good group of players there. Everyone seems to know their job. Under Nuno with Spurs, no one seemed to know what they were doing, whereas Brighton are very much drilled. And similar to how we had with Poch, didn't matter who came in, they all knew their jobs. I think Brighton have got similar like that as well. Obviously, if you lose like a Basuma or a Lamptey, then they're top players there. But you've got other players who can do that job, and it doesn't really notice, other than with like Lamptey, for example, that explosive pace. It doesn't really notice in terms of the position and the way they play, which is super important. So yeah, like Mark, I've been super impressed with Potter. I didn't really know too much about him before he came to Brighton, and then Q2 years later, I won him at Tottenham. But yeah, Mark, in terms of our expectations, it's been a bit of a roller coaster for us. After 3 games, the season should have ended because we were top and we win the league. And then we went on a bad run, and then we were all over the place. And then it's like, right, get top 4 again. And then it went even worse. And it's just, what's going to happen? Now we've got Conte. Let's see what we can do. And now we're in a top 4 race. So the expectation now, I think every Spurs fan would say, is top 4. Whether they think they can get it or not, that would be the expectation. And is next season, is it too, silly to start? Because Brian Daigle, who's on Tottenham on Tour and one of the key people in doing the mental health show yesterday, came on here and a few other streams a little while ago, saying that if we can get top 4 next season and have a good summer, we'll be fighting for that league. So do you think that's a realistic expectation for Tottenham? Or do you think it will be consolidate top 4 again and then go for the league? Or do you think it's because of what Conte's done? He always takes over teams who are mid-table and not doing that great, has a fairly good first season, wins the league next season, and then... but this is Spurs, remember? And yeah, the expectation this season is obviously clear, top 4. What do you think for the expectation?
I don't think that's an expectation. I don't think top 4 is an expectation. I think it's there's a good chance it can happen. I'm not expecting it. I still think Man United might come good, and I think that they've still got the strongest squad. I mean, again, their games in hand. If we win our games in hand, what are they on? 38? Is it we're on 36 points?
I think with the top 4, we were the only kind of ones who were proactive in the transfer window.
That's true. No,
we've got some players in. Whether they'll come good remains to be seen. Arsenal that have 2 strikers or 1 striker and someone who can play as a striker. Manchester United, if everything is to be believed and everything that's in the news is correct, should have a striker in prison soon. And you have no idea, because he's obviously friends with all of the players there. You have no idea if that does happen, how that's going to affect mentally the rest of the team and team morale and everything like that. Leicester didn't really strengthen. Wolves haven't really strengthened. So we're the only ones really in that top 4 race, I think, that have been proactive in this January window. Obviously, it was left right to the end. It could be done earlier. But I think we're not in prime position for top 4, but I think we're definitely in there. And I would be upset if we didn't get 4th now.
Yeah, I can understand that point of view. I listen, at the start of the season, I felt with that squad that we had, we would finish roughly where we finished last season. Now we brought Conte in, the expectations have risen. I say that, but I'm not going to be. I'll be gutted if we don't get top 4, but I'm not going to start. What I fear is if we don't get top 4, people will be going, see, we should have done more in January and and this and that and the other. That's what will happen. Yeah, but you've just said it. Man United didn't strengthen. So if Man United they didn't strengthen. They weakened, if anything. They got rid of Martial and other. I know he doesn't play a lot. I do get that, but neither did Lo Celso, neither did Dembele, and neither did Dele Alli, and neither did Bryan Gill. That's what I'm worried about. If we don't do it, it's going to be all the sort of. It's going to all start all over again. I still think we'll be in the battle for it, mate. I think it's between us and Man United. I've always said that we'll finish above Arsenal and that things are going to start going wrong for them. And they've had a terrible transfer window. So I do think it's between the two of us. But next season is to try and get top 4 again. I don't think, obviously I want to win the league, but I think that's like dream world, mate. To be honest with you, I don't think Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea for me are miles ahead of us. We've got major work to do still on this whole squad. So we're well off it at the minute. We're well off. We're only going to potentially get top 4 because Man United have I think they're miles ahead of us as well, to be honest with you. Well, they certainly, when you look at it on paper, they are. But they brought in a manager who's, I like him. He's another one that I was looking at in the summer to think potentially to come in when we got Nuno. But yeah, next season, top 4, mate. We've got to concentrate on top 4. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Whether we get top 4 this season or not, it's about doing it again, not the league.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do get ahead of myself. I'll be honest with you. There'll be other fans that do as well. But yeah, I mean, 20 odd games in, I think it'll be a case. Same for Brighton as well. Same for everybody. Play each game as it comes, and then when you get to about 30 odd games, then you can have another look. But in terms of Man United, I think they've got a lot of problems. Obviously, this Greenwood situation speaks for itself. Ronaldo seems to throw a hissy fit if he doesn't play, and that can disrupt that kind of the kind of dressing room, you know, if he's not scoring, but I'm Ronaldo, I want to play. You've got a manager there who's only there until the end of the season. And I always think it's a bit risky. West Ham found this out a little bit potentially as well with Moyes their first time. If you've got a manager that the players, certainly the players who aren't playing in the team and are squad players and then maybe get the odd game here or there, know that manager doesn't fancy them as playing as starters. He needs you to play and do a job, but you know he's gone in 6 months. I think there's a few players that go, well, I don't care. I'll just wait for the new manager. Hopefully he'll play a bit more. So I think they've got a few problems, Man United, but they have got a Ronaldo. They have got a Pogba who are match winners, and then
Fernandes.
You've got Rashford, Cavani as well is a match winner. So I think the top four is between us two.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And I've been saying for weeks, like I've had people arguing me saying, we've got no chance. There's no chance. Of course there's a chance. There's absolutely a chance.
I will say with the proactive transfers is if we don't get top four and we get fifth and Man United pip us, at least we've tried to do something in January. At least we've tried to make a difference and make a change. Okay, it hasn't worked, but at least we tried, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. People will be saying we should have done more, but at least we've tried. We've got some of the deadwood out that a lot of people have been crying about and screaming about for years now, a couple of years. So we've done that. We've got a couple of players in, and you'd have to think that those players, Conte's given his blessing for those, or he's hands-on said, "I want that player there."
Mate, honestly, we know, Chris. We know that he said, didn't he? He said, "I've made my evaluation. I know, you know, I've given it to the board. It's up to them now."
Yeah.
He didn't want them there. It's just for me. You don't get rid of them players, and if he wanted them there, they wouldn't have left. He wanted them out.
And I never thought in January certainly would be 6 players in. I didn't think it would be that crazy.
No.
So I'm quite pleased that we've tried. We've tried to do something. We've tried to change something, and it remains to be seen what happens. But in terms of the game on Saturday, Chloe, I can't give a score prediction because it's too much tempting fate, and I can't do it every time I do Spurs lose. So I'll just say what I said earlier. I think it'll be close. I'll basically hedge my bets either way. It'll either be a draw, it'll be a 1-goal win for Brighton or Tottenham. Obviously, I'm going to go for Tottenham. I think we will win because we're at home. But predictions for you for the game?
Yeah, I agree that it'll be a close game. And I think I hope that we'll nick it. 1-0 maybe, 2-1. That's all. 1 goal. I think it'll be close. Yeah.
And possibly, like you say, even going to extra time. Is it extra time and penalties straight off? There's no replays anymore. Right, okay. And Mark, predictions?
I'm going to say 2-0 Tottenham.
Oh, right, okay. So the biggest margin, apart from Mr. K at the start with a 4-1 Spurs, which I think could happen if we really go at it, but I don't see that happening.
But I will say I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to Brighton because they are a good team. And I'm not just saying that because Chloe's sitting there. I'm impressed with Brighton. I really am. So I wouldn't be surprised if... And they give us a difficult game. Do you remember under Poch? I don't even think Potter was there. I can't remember. They absolutely destroyed us when Poch's last season.
That was 3-0, wasn't it?
At the Annex,
Is it Connolly, the Irish striker that he had?
And Lloris, was that the game Lloris got injured where he fumbled it and then come off injured? Yeah.
I mean, that was that was a game right from the start that we didn't turn up and Brighton did, and
it was just after Chris. Do you remember? It was just after we got smashed by Bayern Munich as well.
Yeah, I don't think any Spurs fan could have really moaned if Brighton had won that 6-0 because they were over us from the first second until the last and thoroughly deserved that. And you know, a lot of that has to go down to Potter, I think, to get those players motivated. But yeah, I mean, that's the predictions for the game on Saturday. The game obviously happens on Saturday, and then we'll be back on Monday with the review and a bit of a preview of Southampton. Hopefully, Chloe, you're around on Monday. Depending on what happens with the result, if we do win fairly easily, like Mr. K said, 4-1, you might not be. But yeah, it's been great having you guys on, Mark. You're on fairly regularly, so always a pleasure. Chloe, it's been great having you on. First time on here. Been great talking to you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
And Mark, thanks for having coming on as well. Always a pleasure,
mate.
Like I say, thanks to everybody. Chloe, you said earlier you're on a podcast kind of regularly. If you wanted to give that a plug.
Yeah, I'm on the Albion Obsessed podcast. That's just on YouTube, Spotify.
Excellent. I'll find the link for that, put that in the description. Hit the like, hit the subscribe here. Really helps the channel. Then go over to Albion Obsessed. Hit the likes on there, hit subscribe on there. And Mark, I know you don't like promotion, but you've got yourself and Mac and Mark are both on Monday. Raw Emotion podcast. You want to break the habit of a lifetime and give yourself a little plug, or are you happy?
Not really. Just follow. I don't even run the account at Emotion Pod. Give us a follow. There's a link there to the podcast. Go give it a listen. That'd be great. And subscribe to Chris and give him a like. It's a fantastic channel.
Cheers, guys. Like I said, we'll be back on Monday. Hopefully talking about a Spurs win, and then looking forward to Southampton game in the league, where we can hopefully pick up some points and get ourselves into a top 4 position. We're already in the race position. So a lot of football to be played. And I think, like Mark said, a lot of people have been impressed with Brighton. And I think a lot of people are... They're not neutrals teams, but I think a lot of people who are neutrals when they're playing do like watching Brighton play. And quick comment of Fox's Focus, great show. Cheers, really appreciate it. And the comments, thanks to everyone who's added comments in and been watching. Make sure you hit that like, hit the subscribe. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching, for everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, at Talk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!